Hey Ratbags, it's Jade with a Valheim news video today, taking a look at sneak peeks to do with the Ashlands. Siege warfare could be coming to Valheim. Also, a heartfelt apology from more of the Valheim devs talking about the Xbox issues. And it does look like they are hopefully turning a corner. There should be a hotfix for Xbox explicitly today that resolves more crashes and problems. So I'm going to talk about that as well. So let's dive in. For all things Valheim related, it's always here first. And straight off we're going in with Grim's pictures he's been teasing. This is, I guess, either some sort of brand new upgraded car with some sort of mining capability, or it could even be potentially a warfare weapon, like maybe a mining battering ram or something. I'm making something may or may not get implemented into Valheim. The car is Viking powered, but what is on top of said car is powered by coal, probably coal. And you will need it for Fortress time. Someone asked if there is a fueled version already, and Grimcore said the prototype is up and running, fueled and working. Grim also gave a shout out to reply that he might be working on a catapult as well. I asked him for any last minute info and he said it moves better than the car and punches really hard. You can mine with it, but it's difficult. So this is all pretty amazing stuff. This is all obviously planned though for the Ashlands update, which I am not predicting until the end of the year, maybe even beginning of next year. They have got updates in between, and of course the next one is going to be the Hilda's Quest update with a ton of cosmetic changes where you'll be able to customise your Viking in-game, as well as brand new quests and new areas to explore. They're adding some touches to some of the older biomes by the looks of things. But all this stuff is to do with the Ashlands update in the far future. We know there's going to be some sort of big fortresses in the lava field ash zone. And this is some of the concepts of some of the building blocks that we might be seeing made out of huge castles made out of this. The Ashlands, of course, is what you expect, filled with fire and brimstone and plenty of lava. It does look like we're going to have maybe kind of weird, grotesque Valkyries as enemies to fight against in the game, as well as the Charred, a kind of skeletal, maybe not too skeletal, but yeah, definitely skeletal charred creatures. You can see how big they are compared to us here in these other concept shots. So if you haven't seen all this, hopefully this is just a nice little recap for you. But this is what I really wanted to show you. Imagine going up against these fortresses with maybe a battering ram or the catapult. That's what I think that car is. It's a battering ram, or effectively a diggering ram, where it will literally just dig through the walls since it can be used to mine. Or it is a battering ram and you can simply just wade it into nodes or stone and maybe it will give you some of the resources. I love this idea. Instead of just being a static castle that you just go in through a doorway and fight some enemies, what if we are really laying siege to this place? Has to be some really good reasons though. Could it be that there is maybe a central area that you cannot break through unless you have one of these pieces of equipment? Otherwise, most players will just build up over walls, or they'll use the feather cape to go and hover down. So it does have to be a real true reason to have to use some of that stuff if they are going to implement sort of siege style weapons. I think this mixes up a lot. That's what I want to see from updates and stuff. We all know we want more of the same because that's what makes us love a game. But as early access goes through, or if it's ever expansions and stuff, I do like to see a little bit more freshness brought into it. They've obviously done a lot of work with the Mistlands and the verticality. Element of deep horror going into the dungeons there. It's all quite close quartered and scary, but this feels like an epic battle or an epic war that will be waging against the Charred in their citadels of power. So really cool stuff. Like I said, a long way off more than likely. What I do love is they're going to be using the Obliterator. Some madman gave me a real crap comment, just lost his mind on an old video I did talking about the fact that I think the Obliterator is pretty useless. Now, I love the devs, I've only given them a little bit of criticism now and then, but I've always stated, and I'll carry on saying, this thing is kind of just useless. The fact that we only get coal from it has always just been a bit meh, or at least only 1 or 2 bits of coal. It did service the need, it is the way that you get rid of any items instead of just cluttering up your boxes. But it'd be so cool if this gets integrated somehow, or we have to craft this and use this to maybe go ahead and make this digger battering ram, whatever it is. It is going to be Viking powered, so we're not going to be using the locks to pull it along or anything like that. I'm guessing that's why he's here for scale. Originally, I did think, is he literally just pulling this completely? It would be a bit mad if you're just pulling this massive cart with all this heavy stuff as just one Viking. But it does look like that, considering there's only 2 wheels. I guess if it's on an axis, and it's powering along. You're just directing it, I guess, maybe. But yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to see how it plans out. Grim has always wanted to upgrade or do something with more to do with the carts. He at one point wanted a sled put in, I do believe, but that was nixed a little bit. So maybe this is their compromise, to add something that's going to actually add something to the gameplay more. Yeah, the minds, the possibilities are everywhere with this. What do you guys think? What could it be powered by? Could we get condensed coal, mixing stuff together? Does that make it a bit too complicated for what is essentially a simple game in terms of progression and that in Valheim? It's not over complicated. Recipes are pretty basic, and I really love actually, compared to other games where you need like 6 or 7 recipes or 6-7 items to make something. But this is also cool. Imagine that, a catapult. Throwing Vikings through the sky to get over the walls, using the feather capes to float down, or putting ballast in there to fire fiery balls and stuff like that. Really, really interesting stuff. So Luma, the producer and QA manager for Valheim, also has word for Xbox users. It's all well and good looking at the future, but what about the now with the problems and issues they've had? A Valheim hotfix was deployed earlier today to the MS Store Xbox versions only, fixed the crash on console when large save files were copied in cloud storage. We're working closely with the porting teams to make sure the rest of the reported issues will be taken care of. Apologies to everyone who's encountering bugs, issues and loss of progress on Xbox. We are suffering with you and will do our best to make sure the issues are resolved ASAP. I think this is exactly what you need to see. I'm glad that they've been more vocal with the issues quite quickly. There was an update a couple days ago. I told you guys all about it maybe a week ago as it was in the test live. And don't forget as well, in the future, if you want to play early content, you should sign up and join the Xbox Insider program. Go and watch my video on it on how to do so. Early access titles are rife and known for having issues and problems. But I promise you, in the 2 years that Valheim's been out, apart from their launch issues where some worlds were being deleted way back when, they've never really had substantial problems where these kind of big deals happen. Bugs happen where you might lose an item or smaller features that don't really affect your gameplay, but it is massively frustrating when you're putting time into a game, you're enjoying it and your progress is gone or wiped. So they have got the cloud saves now. Hopefully they're working now. Hopefully they've resolved a lot of the world save issues to do with your worlds getting bigger. And hopefully this will be just a really little bump in the road. At one point, Valheim was in the top 10 most played games on Games Pass a week ago, but I didn't really have any other news to talk about it. It does look like it has dropped out a little bit now, but I do know it's incredibly successful and a lot of you guys are really enjoying it. You just want it to run a bit smoother, and that's okay. The devs see that as well, so I am confident they'll get this nipped in the bud, and that in future, when we get content drops and stuff, everything's going to be a lot smoother. And that is just based on their history. That's not based on just being a wild fanboy. If I can go ahead and criticize Ark like no one's business, and I'm about to do the same for 7 Days to Die, as well as other games like Conan Exiles, DayZ and Rust on console, I've got no issue in calling out games when they're not being treated the right way or treating fans the right way. But honestly, Valheim's not like that. They're a small, tiny little team. They've got extra help now with these port teams doing the work for Xbox and stuff, but they are really committed to making sure that you all have a smooth experience. I'm sure we'll see some more news about Hilda's Quest towards the end of the month, and I have got some Valheim content upcoming. I've just transferred my old previous save from PC to Xbox, as I'm going to continue my 100 days of my previous world on Xbox in future Let's Plays too. So until next time, until we get some more teases and news, I'll see you rat bags later.